Welcome back. One suspect has been arrested in the Jammu grenade attack this morning, which killed one person and injured 32 others. The suspect has been identified as Yasir Javed Bhatt, who has confessed to the crime and also is a Hizbul Mujahideen operative in Kulgam. The suspect was arrested based on oral testimony of eyewitnesses and CCTV footage. Now, the bus that was parked at a busy bus stop this morning when the incident took place had people on it, and we understand now of those injured, one person has passed away.
Based on the oral testimony of witnesses and the CCTV coverage, we were able to identify a suspect who was wearing a jeans jacket and was carrying a red rucksack. He was apprehended, and after apprehension was put to sustained questioning. In the initial rounds of questioning, he has confessed to his crime. His name is Yasir Javed Bhatt. He has revealed that he was tasked to throw this grenade by the district commander of Hizbul Mujahideen in Kulgam by the name of Farooq Ahmed Bhatt alias Umar. He had started from Kulgam only yesterday and had reached Jammu in the morning. After doing this heinous act, he was trying to escape.
Meanwhile, people who were present during the incident narrated the sequence of events to journalists later.
जैसे दुकान पे पहुंचा वैसे यहाँ पे एक बहुत ही धमाकेदार आवाज़ आई और उस आवाज़ को सुनते ही मतलब कि ऐसा लगा कुछ यहाँ टायर फटा या कोई धमाका हुआ है। उसके 2 मिनट बाद पता लगा यहाँ पे ग्रेनेड फटा। मैं आया यहाँ पे देखा, मैंने 10-12 लोग बुरी मतलब कि 3-4 लोग तो ज़्यादा तरीके से जख्मी थे। टोटल 10-12 लोग थे वो जो जख्मी हुए।
गाड़ी में हुआ है या कहीं बाहर?
ये गाड़ी के शीशे भी टूट गए। बस पे भी इतना बड़ा धमाका था। ये
बस स्टैंड में खड़े काउंटर पे गाड़ी लगी तो आवाज दे रहे हैं अमृतसर तो मैं साथ में पर्ची लेने गया तो पर्ची जहाँ लेने गया उधर ही हो गया कुछ। हाँ जी।
तो ये बस के अंदर नहीं,
बार बस में सवारियां भी, मेरा ड्राइवर भी रोटी खान रहा है, कोई गल बात नहीं उधर।
तो आपकी बस के साथ ही हुआ?
साथ ही हुआ। हाँ जी।
पता नहीं चला कि भीड़ थी बहुत ज्यादा, तो उसको पता नहीं चला भी क्या हुआ, लेकिन किसी में फेंका, धमाका बड़ी जोर से हुआ। वो मेरे पास को लगी है इधर आंखों, मेरे को टांगों में लगी है। हाँ जी।
तो मतलब ये लगा कि
किसी ने कुछ फेंका ऐसे लगा, पर पता नहीं चला, भीड़ बहुत थी ना, इसलिए हमारे को पता नहीं चला कहाँ से फेंका है।
दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण बात है, जिस कार्यतापूर्वक ढंग से आज तीसरी बार यहाँ पे हमला हुआ। शर्म आनी चाहिए ऐसे आतंकवादियों को और उन अकाओं को भी जो कश्मीर में बैठ के वहाँ जो आका बैठे हुए हैं, उनकी जो तारे यहाँ के लोगों से जुड़ी हुई हैं। ये नेक्सिस खत्म होना चाहिए। और हमने बार मैं यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि ये लोग जो मंशा लेके चल रहे हैं कि किस प्रकार से जम्मू को डिस्टर्ब किया जाए, कश्मीर तो है ही डिस्टर्ब है, पर हम जम्मू को डिस्टर्ब नहीं होने देंगे। यहाँ पे भाईचारा बना के रखेंगे।
हमारे जो जम्मू में है वो हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई का जो भाईचारा कायम है और सुख शांति यहाँ के लोग रह रहे हैं। वो मतलब कहने की जहाँ पर सुख शांति जो कायम रखेंगे और सदा रही है और आगे के लिए भी कायम रखेगी। और हम प्रशासन को कहते हैं कि आगे के लिए ये आंखें खोल दे ताकि वो पूरा अलर्ट हो जाए कि ये जो छोटी छोटी हरकतें हैं ये आने वाले दिनों में बड़ा मतलब क्या कोई मसला ऐसा ना बन जाए।
My colleague Farid is standing by in Srinagar with information on this. Farid, obviously, credit to the police in Jammu that they managed to nab this attacker so quickly, this terrorist, who seems to be a young man following the instructions of the Hizbul Mujahideen. Forgive me.
That's right, Faye. In fact, we had been saying this since morning, ever since this attack took place, that it is now a big challenge for the J&K police to stop this module or these people who carried out this attack, because if they've done it once, they'll try to do it again. And it was a race against time as far as J&K police is concerned. But they did manage to nab this particular suspect, or should I say now they've confirmed to us that he was the person, he's accepted this in his interrogation allegation in his questioning that he was sent by one Hizbul commander by the name of Farooq Ahmed, who is the Hizbul commander for Kulgam district, to carry out this attack in Jammu. And in fact, he had left Valley yesterday and came or reached Jammu this morning, where finding a lot of people in the bus stand area, he carried out this attack. Now, the intention was obviously to cause harm to as many people as possible, to create a spectacle, and at the same time ensure that after this there is a kind of a reaction in Jammu where this could really lead to disturbance as far as social fabric is concerned, because we know that last time in Pulwama, after the Pulwama attack, there was violence in Jammu, some anti-social elements really on the loose and targeting a particular community and some Kashmiri localities as well. So this time around, possibly the intention was, one, to carry out this attack, cause harm and casualty, and then ensure that this triggers a reaction in Jammu, and then you will have a huge law and order disturbance. So that has been prevented by the police by this timely arrest. The police say that they're further questioning as to whether he was the only one or there were more in this module, and what is the future plan as far as the Hizbul Mujahideen is concerned, whether this was just for this particular attack or they have some bigger plan as far as Jammu is concerned. Now, Faye, why this attack was concerning from the moment it took place was because Jammu has been a zero resident militancy zone. There is absolutely zero local support for militancy, and that's why Jammu has not seen any militancy-related incident in the recent past, barring a few here and there. But generally, it has been very peaceful as any other part of the country. But the J&K police and the security agencies have done well as to prevent the spillover of militancy from Kashmir to Jammu. And also importantly, where people were concerned also was that how did this person or this module manage to really evade the huge security apparatus, intelligence setup, and carried out this attack. So this is really a timely arrest, and let's hope that this is the only person involved, and there are not more who could really carry out further strikes in Jammu. Faye?
That's actually very true, Fareed. Right now, we're hoping that this is the only one of your attack of its kind that we're going to see anywhere in the country, in fact. But bad news has also been this has resulted in students being attacked and Kashmiris being attacked in the rest of India. A video surfaced today where we saw goons in Uttar Pradesh, in Lucknow, dressed in saffron, who went around beating up and thrashing Kashmiri vendors who were selling dry fruits on the street. It was only after the media picked this up. In fact, it was our colleague from Times Now, Prashant, who put the video on Twitter and got everybody's attention to what was happening, that the police stepped in and made sure these goons were arrested. But in the meantime, there is a larger question for us to address. What is giving these goons the authority to do something like this, to take the law into their own hands, to use the Pulwama attack as an excuse to bully people on the road? Take a look.
On the debate tonight, Kashmiri vendors in Uttar Pradesh were beaten up, abused, held by the collar and asked to prove their nationality. These shameless goons who belong to the fringe group Vishwa Hindu Dal believe they are above the law. When Mirror Now confronted these goons outside the police station in Lucknow, they continued to be brazen and showed absolutely no remorse for taking the law into their own hands.
पुलवामा हमले के बाद हमारे देश की जनता में आक्रोश है और ये आक्रोश कल विश्व हिंदू दल के कार्यकर्ताओं द्वारा डालीगंज पुल पर कश्मीरियों जिहादियों को खदेड़ने के लिए फूटा.
After media outcry, the Uttar Pradesh police finally forced to act. These goons were finally arrested and the police have also assured security to Kashmiris in the state.
हाँ वो तो हमने ले गए थे, एक भाग गया थे, हमने भी सोचा भागना पड़ेगा तो क्या करेंगे. उन लोगों ने बताया अगर कल से यहाँ होगा लखनऊ में तो अब तक आपको मार डाल देंगे. कल दिन में यहाँ नहीं रहना, बस आज दिन है, कल यहाँ से हटना, यहाँ कभी नए शहर में दिखा देंगे पूरा लखनऊ में.
After the Pulwama attack, over 20 such reports of Kashmiris being singled out and attacked have surfaced from across India. As India unites against the fringe who spread hate in the name of nationalism, Mirror Now asks, Is Kashmir not India? Why spew this kind of hatred?
Well, the shocking thing that we're going to tell you today is that what we've talked about up till now, the 20 attacks that have surfaced because someone made a video and put it out on the internet and the police was able to take cognizance. The actual problem is far, far worse, and as a result, far more worrying. We know the Jammu and Kashmir police started a helpline for people from the state across the country who might need help. Fareed, in fact, from Srinagar has been tracking that helpline. And in the studio with me is Ejaz Ayub, a columnist in Mumbai, who has been helping other Kashmiris find their way back to the state. Fareed, first, Fareed, if you've spoken with the police in Srinagar today, how many calls have they received on that helpline? How many young Kashmiri, either workers or students, have had to come back to the state in the last several weeks?
Well, Faye, hundreds of them have come back. There's no doubt about it. And as far as the J&K police is concerned, last time also we spoke to a senior officer. He said that more than 100 calls they had received. And initially the call flow was more, and 100, he talked of those calls which were, that there was action on those calls, and these were distress calls, and the police acted on it and ensured that these people got timely help. Other than that, there were also several other calls where people were inquiring about various things. So there were hundreds of calls that the J&K police, this helpline has received. And according to the police, there are also hundreds of families and individuals, including students and businessmen, who come back and are hoping that things will simmer down, and then they may think of going back. But if these incidents continue, obviously, it will be difficult for them to make their decision of going back to their places of work or their educational institutions. And unfortunately, these incidents are continuing. So it will take some time before that sense of security returns. But unfortunately, this fringe and these goons are not really helping the cause. And to add to that, the authorities, they should do more. In fact, there's a clear guideline from the Supreme Court of India, directions to state governments to act tough against these people, ensure there is proper security. But it's only after media really, the news comes in the media, and then you have social media which decimates it. Then only the police really acts under pressure. They should do it on their own, be proactive, and really set a deterrent. Otherwise, these people are going to continue with this if they feel that law is loose, and they're not going to basically be taken to task for this.
Right. Fareed, in fact, stay with us. Ejaz Ayub is in the studio with me. Ejaz, I'm looking at, this is the final court order on the matter that was raised in court by Siddharth Luthra and Colin Gonsalves. And when the court rejected, the fact that it was raised on behalf of the Jammu and Kashmir People Forum, saying that they were attacks against Kashmiri people, the Attorney General, who argues on behalf of the government, said there has been no incident after the 22nd of February. No Kashmiri has been attacked across the country.
I don't know which
true?
world he's living in, but you should see the amount of distress calls that we received, me, my friends across India, our family members across India soon after Pulwama attack from Kashmiris. It was a crisis situation. People were nervous, people were feeling insecure, and there were life threats. We have the number you just talked about. It's almost 3,000 people have gone back to their hometown, to Kashmir. 3,000 people. Almost 19 universities, people have faced some kind of mob violence, some kind of intimidation, and almost 40 to 50 students have been rusticated, or they have been suspended without any inquiry at all. So denying the fact in such a biggest auspicious authority, the judicious authority, is in itself a joke. I would say people have seen...
This number that you're giving us right now, 3,000, you said, 3,000
yes,
Kashmiris have had to go back
That's
to the
a crude number for which we have records. Unreported incidents might be bigger.
You have a name against every one of these 3,000
Yes, we have an Excel sheet. We have maintained an Excel sheet for all the people who have been harassed, who have been humiliated, intimidated across India after Pulwama attack, the Kashmiris I'm talking about. The list goes beyond 3,000.
After the 22nd, or in this case the 26th of February, which is when this court order came out, on the 27th in fact, the court basically said that we direct states on whom notices have been served to respond within 7 days, and they directed state governments to take action immediately and stop this sort of harassment.
But you can yourself imagine the state had to put in place a structure. They have to put in place nodal officers. So the situation was really grim. So unless and if they are denying the fact that nothing has happened, why did Supreme Court came into play, or why did the state or even Home Affairs, they came into play and they put in place an entire structure across states. They directed these home secretaries, they created nodal offices, means the situation was really grim. So we come across a lot of cases, female students from universities, laborers denied wages, not just students, people doing jobs here, daily wages. I would say a very isolated case, although Mumbai was very safe in that respect. But in Thakur village, in Kandivali, I myself rescued 2 laborers. They were thrown out in the middle of the night with their luggage. We literally rescued them from the place, although they were not manhandled, but they were denied salaries, and numerous cases. We have records.
So their services were terminated and they were not given a reason, or they weren't given any salary?
They were abused, not physically, but they were abused, and they were denied even of the wages for the services they have already rendered. There has been huge number of cases, but the question is not what has happened. The question is, why is this happening? Initially, you will talk about 90s, the situation was even worse. That time, Kashmiris used to come to the mainland India for jobs, for education, for business. But right now, what has changed? The amount of hate that has been fed through the system, I think that has blinded.
You did say that these students and laborers and people who work in the rest of India have always been ambassadors who go back to Kashmir and tell stories of how life in India is fantastic. But
keeping political aspirations aside, everybody has political aspirations, be it the shrinking political space in the valley or other things, but there are other day-to-day activities like job is there, education is there. They used to come to mainland India, different cities, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, or even small towns. Then they used to pave way for others to follow, be it taking an admission in a university, starting a job or a business venture. Now they have all those people, 3,000 is a small number, it might be even bigger, they have been humiliated and they have been sent back to valley. What will it create? The alienation was already there. Now you have ambassadors against India, who will be talking against Indians, against India. It was initially, it used to be only the military apparatus that people used to think that there is a human rights violation. Now the civilians have also participated. The problem is that the saner voices in India, they are on Twitter, and insane voices are controlling the streets. That is the problem right now.
Well, that's a very hard reality to be faced with, but let me bring in the rest of my panel. Mr. Arima Sundaram is a senior advocate with the Supreme Court. Javed Ansari, senior journalist. Bhaskar Ghosh with the BJP. Kohar Gilani is a journalist joining us out of Kashmir right now. And Sipal Singh, former IGP Punjab, who has spent a lot of time in Jammu as well, from what I understand. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Mr. Sundaram, you were with us the last time we had this conversation, and I remember your views were very strong about this matter. Hearing what Ejaz has to say to us today, that he has an Excel sheet of 3,000 people who've had to be sent back to Kashmir because they were either fired or removed from their universities or simply humiliated. What is your reaction to this?
Faye, I must say that I tend to believe him. I tend to accept what he has said, because without a doubt, there is a whole segment of very deranged human beings who believe that it's almost like a feeling of feeling manly. It's like a bully, who's basically a coward, but he has to pick on somebody to show his own strength. So these very deranged people are busy trying to claim or find an excuse to be able to spew venom on others. What they're really doing is spewing their own frustrations and venom on others. Let's not, when I'm just looking at your topic for debate today, don't spew venom in the name of nationalism. They're not spewing venom in the name of nationalism at all, because they're anything but nationalists. They are secessionists. These people are basically secessionists. When they say Kashmiris go back to Kashmir, what they are doing is they're treating Kashmir as a different country. They're treating Kashmir as a different place. They don't accept the Kashmiris as Indians. They therefore don't accept Kashmir as India. They're really secessionists. They're not nationalists at all. What they're really doing is spewing their venom to get rid of their own innate frustrations. Unfortunately, in every society, you have enough number of people like this. The danger is you give such deranged human beings a chance, give them any opportunity. Instead of curtailing it, if you show any kind of semi-encouragement of it, they immediately start behaving like this. What is required is very, very strict action has to be taken against them. I notice that every time there's a knee-jerk reaction, you have something on TV and immediately someone's arrested. I want to know what happens after they're arrested. Are they given bail? Do they continue in jail? What kind of charges are framed against them? Where has that continued? All this is absolutely necessary. And unless you have a willing administration who's willing to forget about votes and instead go to treat the problem for what it is, you're going to have this problem continuing forevermore. Because remember one thing, fundamentalism is not only one side. Fundamentalism is all sides. And the most dangerous form of fundamentalism is a fundamental majority. A fundamental majority can annihilate a minority, and that is absolutely dangerous. There are terrorists, and these terrorists are creating havoc, and they have to be dealt with very strongly. But that does not mean you, in the name of fighting these people are not fighting the terrorists. If you put this man who you are showing on your screen in front of a terrorist, he will run for his life. He will turn around and run like the rabbit that he is. He just is picking on someone who's smaller than him, and that's all he's doing. So unless the administration deals with these people absolutely strictly and shows it as a deterrent, these people have to be given a deterrent punishment. A punishment which will deter others from doing the same thing.
Yes.
And for that you have to have a very strong administration.
A very quick question again to you, Mr. Sundaram. India doesn't have a hate crime law. There is no specific law for hate crimes. Crimes that are committed against an individual because they're from a certain state or a certain community. Is it time we bring in a hate crime that attracts a larger punishment? Because this sort of nonsense, if it's allowed to breed the way it is breeding, this could easily get out of hand. You're right, we're a secular country. For as long as the majority accommodates the minorities are always living at the mercy of the majority in a secular country.
Absolutely. And I think it's any kind of crime has its punishment. But I think, like we have crimes against children, crime against the weaker, the crime against women, and they're given enhanced sentences. I think crime in the name of this kind of hate crime, crime against minorities like this, and in cases like such as what you've seen, it's not just crime against, it might be that the person you committed the crime against might be a minority community or majority. That's not the point. A crime in the name of religion, I think, is something which really can be brought in for an augmented punishment. And I believe should be done if we want to keep India as one. And we want a union of India and not a cessation of states.
That's actually very well said. I want to bring in Javed Ansari as well. Javed Ansari, do you believe, as per the Supreme Court instructions, that the governments of our various states and the government of India has done enough to stop or prevent these crimes from taking place?
No, I don't, Faye. The Supreme Court has done well by putting in place certain processes and measures, but it's for the state governments and it's for the central government to ensure that these measures are put into practice. It is for the state governments, law and order is a state subject, it's for the state governments to enact and to come down with an iron hand when something like this happens. It's poor, while credit must be given where it is due, Mr. Yogi has finally acted, but he's done nobody any favors. The reason why mobs, why thugs like what you're showing on your screen right now continue to act the way they do is because they have this confidence, right or wrong, that because they have an ideologically inclined government both at the center and at the state, and that in the past the governments have tended to look the other way at their own, that they will be allowed to get away. It's only because of the media, because this fact has come to light, and because we are in election season, that the Chief Minister has acted. But nonetheless, I mean, Mr. Sundaram is absolutely right. These people are not acting in national interest. Every time you target, you zero in, you start bashing up a helpless Kashmiri in mainland India, you are just playing into the hands of those secessionists in parts of, some secessionists in Kashmir and their masterminds in Pakistan who keep saying that India is only interested in the real estate of Kashmir, not its people, who keep saying that India is not a safe place for minorities. Don't these lunatics realize that what they are doing is anti-national? What they are doing is just proving what the enemies of India want to do. They are proving them correct. They should be tried. Mr. Sundaram will throw light on this more. But they should be tried under a much stricter law. Just breaking law and order is nothing. Day after tomorrow, they'll be bailed out. And they'll be at it again the day after that. They need to be tried against a much stricter law and put in for a long period so that it deters people from acting the way these goons have been acting.
Bhaskar Ghosh, here's my question to you. Why hasn't the government done more? There was one statement from the Prime Minister saying our battle is with terrorism and not with Kashmiri people. Other than that, where is the instruction to the police? Where is the instruction to state governments? Where is the message to put out clearly that we do not stand for this sort of thing? Why has the government been so silent on this matter, Bhaskar Ghosh?
All right. So I think let us introspect the entire thing in totality. Right now, I have seen one of my panelists, Izaz, who has used the word Kashmiris are from mainland India. Kashmiris have been tortured or beaten in mainland India. The concept of mainland India itself is a separatist concept. What? Is it mainland? What do you mean by mainland India? I mean, what is other land? If mainland India is, he used the word mainland India.
The rest of
what
India.
Does it mean?
Don't clutch at straw. I mean
what does
the
it
rest
mean,
of
mainland
India.
Okay,
I mean the plains of India.
No, mainland India.
No, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. Not that kind of show, Bhaskar Ghosh. I don't let my panelists get derailed. Whether India is a mainland or it's a peninsula or it's surrounded by water on three sides is immaterial to the conversation we're having. Let me rephrase my question, Bhaskar Ghosh. The Attorney General, K.K. Venugopal, representing the government of India, told the Supreme Court that there have been no incidents attacking Kashmiris after the 22nd of February. That is obviously false. Why did the government lie to the Supreme Court?
First of all,
I asked the questions here. Do you have answers?
The similar attack has taken place. Yeah, I'm answering what the government of India has done it.
Why did the government of India lie to the Supreme Court?
Audio off. I was as out of audio. I can hear the entire things, but in the last part I heard why the government of India has lied to Supreme Court.
Yes.
Government of India, according to Supreme Court order, has given the list of the nodal officers and circulated. The MHA has circulated through proper channel about all the respective officers which is responsible. Here in this case today in Lucknow, the police has taken the immediate steps. If you talk about Lucknow, then you must talk about in West Bengal, the same thing is happening, in other states, same thing happening. Almost the same which has happened during the Sikh riots. During those 40,000 riots which has been taken place after the independence. So it is unfortunate.
Mr. Bhaskar Ghosh, don't give me a history lesson.
Please do not.
I read my history. I'm quite familiar with it. I will ask you the question again because you were talking over me and you didn't hear the question.
No, I'm not giving history lesson. I'm telling you that this is unfortunate, like it was during the Sikh riots or like it was during the all 40,000 riots taken place in this country.
There's nothing unfortunate in law and order. It's
yeah, that's what government is doing it.
No, let me ask you the question again, please. Mr. Ghosh, let me ask you the question again. My question is this. Mr. K.K. Venugopal, the Attorney General, arguing on behalf of the Government of India in Supreme Court, has actually submitted that after the 22nd of February, no incident of a Kashmiri being attacked in India has taken place. This is obviously false. Why did the government misrepresent before the Supreme Court? Mr. Ghosh, can you not hear me?
Audio out.
Audio out? 1 second.
Part of you can hear.
All right. My studio director's name is Swati. Swati, could we just make sure that Mr. Ghosh can hear me, please? He can hear me loud and clear. I'll ask the question again. Thank you very much. Mr. Ghosh, I'm told you can hear me loud and clear. Mr. K.K. Venugopal, the learned Attorney General representing the Government of India before the Supreme Court, submitted that since the 22nd of February, no incident of a Kashmiri being attacked anywhere in India had taken place. This is obviously false from what our panel is telling us and what our reporter is telling us. Why did the government misrepresent facts before the Supreme Court?
No, I think I don't know the background why Mr. Venugopal has submitted to given the submission to the court, but perhaps he meant to say perhaps that there's no reported attack or attack was not reported to the proper authority, and therefore he don't have the data, and that's why he has, if at all he has given. But the question is, the government in all cases of this kind of attacks have been properly taken care of. They have been booked under several sections.
I disagree with you. Allow me to provide our audience with evidence on the contrary to what you just said. Is it true that no authority had been complained to? Of the 3,000 people you tell me you have an Excel sheet of,
yes.
Were there complaints made to police?
This 3,000 list where he has complained,
concerned SHOs everywhere, in all the cases.
Where he has complained to whom?
The first line of action was to contact the local police station. That has been the first line of action.
State-wise,
and that has been done in almost all the cases. Even the Yavatmal case, you talk about cases in Chandigarh, you talk about cases in Jaipur, and even in
what is the composition of 3,000 people? Which states?
All the cases, they were first reported to the local police station, and help also was provided by the police station in many cases, and even protection was provided till the nearest railway station or the airport. But cases have been reported.
Cases have been reported. Fareed tells us that...
That's the point. That's the point.
Fareed tells us that the Jammu and Kashmir police have received hundreds and hundreds of phone calls, and it's very likely that these 3,000 students also have contacted the Jammu and Kashmir police when they came back to Srinagar. Gohar Gilani is with us. He's a senior journalist.
But is this entire 3,000
let me just point out, Mr. Bhaskar Ghosh, one of the reasons why the government is so misinformed might be your inability to simply listen when people are providing you with information.
You're pinpointing by dates.
Mr. Gilani, how many students and young people have returned and laborers have returned to Kashmir? Have there been official complaints filed with the authorities, any authority at all, whether that is district collectors or police?
I think I would agree with Mr. Ejaz Ayub. More than 3,000 Kashmiris, they're not only students, they're also traders, they're also shawl businessmen, they are professionals, even academics. And I would like to say that even one of the deans in a university was sacked, and in one of the colleges was sacked just because he was a Kashmiri. So I think the more than the statistics and more than the data, the violence against Kashmiris in India is more structural. I would explain briefly why. It is, if you recall what Mr. Narendra Modi said in his speeches after Pulwama attack, one line was, "Jo aag aapke dil mein hai, wahi aag mere dil mein bhi hai." So this, and after that he also said, "Meri fitrat hai badla lena meri fitrat hai." So given the fact that there is a right-wing government, at the helm of affairs in New Delhi, so this message is telegraphed to the voters, to all the Sanghi brigade, and you see the confidence with which they are saying that we are beating Kashmiris. So I also have a problem when you say, when some anchors say that these Kashmiris are don't beat innocent Kashmiris. What is meant by innocent Kashmiris?
But Mr. Gilani, this badla is against the terrorists in Kashmir.
No, please,
in Pakistan.
Don't interrupt. Please.
No, Mr. Ghosh, please listen. Please listen.
So what I'm saying is that if there is a Kashmiri, if he or she has a political view, if he or she has a political aspiration or political sentiment, does it mean that he or she is to be thrashed? So this is a problem that only don't beat innocent Kashmiris. And also when you say that there are own, so does it mean that if there is a foreigner that you have to beat foreigners? So there are a lot of fundamental problems in when we debate this issue. And I'm reminded of what happened in the era of Nazi era during the Hitler's regime. There was a ministry of propaganda run by Mr. Joseph Goebbels, and then the Jews were caricatured, demonized, and that's what happening. I'm glad that this is only channel where I see a sane debate is happening. But if you watch other channels, how Kashmiris are demonized, caricatured, and thrashed, and there's a propaganda. Media is partner in crime, and it flows from the top. There's a structural violence in what we are seeing in many parts of India. So on the contrary, there are 300,000 laborers, migrant workers, skilled workers who come from Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, UP, Uttarakhand to work in Kashmir. And you have seen how they even live with Kashmiris, and there has not been a single reaction to whatever has been happening in Jaipur, in Rajasthan, and other parts of India.
Well, I also want to bring in Mr. Sipal Singh. Mr. Singh, you spent a fair amount of time in Jammu.
I have a question to Mr. Gilani.
I'm sure you have questions, Mr. Ghosh, but after everyone has had an opportunity to speak, we will come back to you. Mr. Singh, former IGP Punjab, go ahead, please.
See, the entire problem needs to be looked in a much broader way. You see, what do the enemy want in any case, or what do the terrorists want? Forget about enemy. Terrorists want that there should be disturbance, there should be lawlessness, and there should be alienation. We are actually fanning the cause of terrorists by alienating the Kashmiris, or by attacking on the Kashmiris, or by looking down upon them, either psychologically or physically. I am of the view that in such circumstances, there has to be maximum effort on the part of all nationalist forces to be more akin to the Kashmiris who are here, to be more friendly with them, so that we do not fan up the cause of terrorists. B. In the broader sense, you ask, there are certain legislation which are not there. Irrespective of the legislation, there's a plethora of legislation where we can book them. Not necessarily a new legislation need to come for this thing. In the IPC also these things are provided. It's an attack on the human body or a psychological attack, intimidation, all these are provided. The question is, the law enforcement is not done. Why it is not done? Because the message trickles down to the law enforcement agencies that forget it. We are in the process of taking badla. And they think badla is in terms of our badla is in terms of torturing, psychologically alienating, or pushing them out of India, this Kashmiri. This is no badla, as I told you. We are actually doing something. Second point, something against the nationalist cause. You said the Prime Minister very kindly gave a message after a number of such incidents had happened. Number of such incidents. And these incidents were by and large reported on the media, and number of leaders who are political leaders from J&K, they again and again asked why the government of India, why the Prime Minister is not saying anything on this. Ultimately, after the Supreme Court instruction, the Prime Minister gave the order. Why this sort of quietness? I mean, this trickles down. Maybe he had some genuine reason. I'm not saying to the Prime Minister why did it, but it trickles down. And the people at the lower level, and with that, some of their goons who do not understand what is to be done in the case of terrorists, they indulge in such things and alienate. This is one side of the thing that I tell you that in any terrorist affected state, the more you alienate the people, the more terrorism will come in. B. The second side of the coin is that as far as the terrorists are concerned, they want this alienation. Now, the incident which happened in Jammu, today, you try to understand this incident happened yesterday, and the 5th of March, Pakistan has given a statement. The Ministry of Federal Affairs in Pakistan on 5th March gave a statement that 44 terrorists who belong to proscribed terrorist institution or organization have been detained. Yes. It goes on further to say that out of these 44 will go into the details, and after a week or 2 weeks will reconsider. They have calibrated the art of telling lies and trying to win over, because there are going to be sanctions against them. The Financial Action Task Force is reviewing. The Pakistan is already on the grey list. They may come on the black list in a few months. And therefore, it is there from 2008. They have been going from grey to white, white to grey, but they have never come to the black because they have acquired the art. Now, what are you doing? By creating these terrorist activities or showing this dissatisfaction, you are only fanning the cause. Ultimately, the government of the other countries were saying that yes, not that they are the terrorists, we are prosecuting them. The persecution is by us. The persecution level, they are already, as you know, in the last after Swaraj visit to they gave.
In fact, I want to take this question to Mr. Arya Sundaram. Mr. Sundaram, what's missing? What's missing was a clear public service announcement that was not put out by the government that spends a fair amount of money advertising in newspapers and on radio and on television every day. There should have been a public service announcement saying, do not do this. This is wrong. There wasn't any. There should have been a message saying, if you feel that much anger, join the army, join the border security force, join the CRPF and actually contribute your anger in the right direction. There should have been a very clear message saying, revenge is not what we're after, because the international courts and the international laws will have no place for revenge. And our attack in Balakot was not revenge. And we're very clear about that as far as international law is concerned. So has there been bad communication by the government of India and by the ministers in this particular case that has fueled this sort of emotion?
You see, don't forget one thing, Faye. The people who are behaving in the way they are behaving, like I said, are behaving because they have to fulfill their own inadequacies. The only way they can be suppressed is by a strong government taking stronger action against them. In fact, it's all very well. I just heard the ex-IGP of police who was talking about there are various crimes. But what are you going to do? Charge these chaps with assault? Tomorrow they get bail, they're out. Nothing further happens. They're forgotten about. If the government gives a clear enough message and says these people will be treated as anti-nationals, they're anti-nationals because they're working against nationalism. They're anti-nationals and they're doing nothing less than what terrorists themselves will do. What do terrorists do? The terrorists take it out on people who are harmless, on people who are helpless. They go to the ordinary citizen. They blow up the ordinary citizen. That is what a terrorist does to get his message across. What are these goons doing? They're doing the same thing. In fact, they are doing a different form of terrorism from a different side. Why don't you throw the book at them for anti-national activities? Throw them in without bail. Look, you have now got an identity of these people. I'd like you, Faye, really, for your channel to follow up as to what is being done with these people on a day-to-day basis tomorrow, as to whether they are given bail tomorrow. And if they're given bail tomorrow, I want you to ask as to why they were given bail, what were the sections they were charged under, why was not the book thrown at them in every which way it could have been. Now tell me something, what they have done today, it's one thing to say, Mr. X beats up Mr. Y, it's a simple case of assault.
Yes.
But when it's done for this kind of reason, and its effect can be anti-national, its effect can be that Kashmiris tomorrow are treated as a totally different place, and that can lead to cessation of the country. Now, they are anti-nationals. Secondly, please look at what is happening. Internationally, what is being seen, rather than keeping the emphasis on the manner in which Pakistan is harboring terrorists, an emphasis will certainly come about as to how in India, the minority community, people from Kashmir are being assaulted the way they are, and nothing serious is being done about it. So what is different in that case? That is the kind of message Pakistan will try to spread. So we have to safeguard ourselves against all this. We have to do something very, very strong, and the only one who can do it is the government, and the government has to take a very strong stand against such people. In the absence of it, this will continue because you have bullies everywhere who will make the most of this opportunity, and they don't even have the intelligence. They are cowards and they're unintelligent. They can't even see that what they're doing is really feeding into the hands of the terrorists, because they themselves are treating Kashmir as a different country by saying, go back to Kashmir. Where is it go back to Kashmir? Kashmir is part of India. Nobody tells me go back to Tamil Nadu or go back here or go back there. We're all part of India. Now, by behaving like this, you are encouraging it. So find a law, throw the book at them. Whatever it is, don't give them bail. I want you to really follow up on what's being done to these people today. And if tomorrow they're given bail, I want you to raise Cain about it. I want you to bring this to the public eye that this cannot be done. People like this cannot be given bail tomorrow. And I want you to follow it up, because I assure you that within 2 days, they'll be out on bail.
In fact, what we'll do is we'll work with Ejaz Ayub, who's here in the studio in Mumbai with me, with those various cases which have been sent to the police, including the one that happened in Maharashtra, and we will track whether those people have been given bail and what the status is of that. Dr. Siddiqui on the phone line from Lucknow. Go ahead, please.
Yes, madam. Thank you for calling me. I want to speak few words.
Yes, go ahead.
This is unfortunate incident which has occurred in the Kashmiri in Lucknow, and this cannot be accepted by anybody or any society which are literate and good. And India is one of the most important country of the world now.
Yes, Dr. Siddiqui, very well said that if we are a democratic and literate and civilized nation, this is completely unacceptable. Sundar on the phone line from Chennai. Sundar, good evening. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. I'm just watching your TV and I can see those guys being bashed so badly. Is Kashmir not a part of India? And I go with Mr. Hariman Sundaram. These guys should be booked and not being given bail.
Yes.
You should actually put these guys in gundas. You start putting gundas act on these guys, I'm sure they are not going to do this.
Absolutely.
Yesterday, Mr. Modi was in Chennai.
Yes.
He was talking about so many things. I think he should watch the TV right now and see these Kashmiri people getting hurt so badly. If you're going to continue like this, I'm sure these Muslim boys from Kashmir will join the hands of Lakshmi Taiba.
Well, I understand what you're saying, that we need to be able to show at this point a sense of brotherhood that will shut the mouths of anybody who wants to divide this country. Javed Ansari, I'm going to come back to you on that point of the government using crores and crores of public money for advertisements at this point. Full page ads in newspapers, television and radio. Some of that, small slivers of it could have been used for public service announcements asking people to keep the peace.
Indeed it is, but let's not forget this is election season. All this advertising is happening because they want to, at this last moment, at the 11th hour, try and propagate as much as possible. This is not their priority. Their priority is to win elections. It's not enough just to pay lip service. After 5 days, after a spate of lynchings, after journalists like you raise a hue and cry, the Prime Minister comes on air and says, this should not happen. But what happens after that? This has to be followed through. This is happening in a state which is governed by the BJP. If the BJP governed state doesn't pay heed or follow what the Prime Minister is saying, then who else will? The Prime Minister needs to pick up the phone and read the Riot Act to the Chief Minister of the state. How is this being allowed? Some of these people should be made an example of, and as Mr. Sundaram was saying, merely treating this as a law and order, as some kind of manhandling issue will not suffice. Charge them with sedition, charge them with some heinous crime so that they spend a couple of months in jail, and then the harsh reality will dawn on them. Otherwise, you can keep spending money and we'll keep raising a hue and cry, but this will be business as usual. If the Prime Minister and this government mean an iota of what they say, then they must come down heavily. All state governments, and the state governments that should be hauled over the coals.
Absolutely. Bhaskar Ghosh, I saw your hand go up. Do you want to comment? Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Now I have seen the entire panel is so hostile and there becomes, but they are only telling the one part of the story. The another part, let me recollect a couple of things. The same
panel is hostile to whom, Mr. Ghosh?
When he has taken
up,
who are we
hostile to?
Assuming the
who are we hostile to? Right? We are hostile to those thugs. What do you mean
obviously,
hostile?
You're not showing me the thugs. You're showing the dark, but you show the light. That will see.
Aren't you hostile to the thugs?
Let me show you the half filled. You are showing the half empty. Let me show you the half filled.
What is half
filled? The same Prime Minister, when he has assumed charge as a Prime Minister, first went to Kashmir. 80,000 crore package was given to Kashmir. Till now, this government has given the maximum package to the Kashmir for the development of Kashmir.
No, hang on. So how does that make what we are talking about today okay?
More of an effort to show them Kashmir. as
No,
a part
Mr.
of
Ghosh,
integral part
Mr.
of
Ghosh,
India.
let me just,
Today, the
no,
fight to
hang
defend
on,
the
hang on,
integrity
hang on.
of the
Mr.
country.
Ghosh, Mr. Ghosh, first of all, point number one,
has nothing
nobody
to do
is
with
doing
our
anybody
topic.
else any
This is
favors
not what we're
by
discussing.
showing
Just give me
Kashmir
10
as part of
seconds,
India.
no more.
Kashmir
5
is
seconds.
part of India. Point
5
one.
seconds.
Point two. You're
Faye,
not
let me
doing
put
any
my
favors
point,
by
5 seconds,
announcing
then you will
development
comment on
projects.
that,
Point
I
number
will
3,
accept.
development projects don't change what we're talking about today.
No, I not
and this
favor.
and
But I'm
this
talking
panel
that
is
my
not
attitude is
hostile.
not to de-alienate
There are no
Kashmir.
politicians
Our
on this
attitude
panel
is
other
to
than
bring
yourself.
Kashmir.
What are you talking about?
They are not showing the half filled. They are showing the half empty. Sorry. Let me put my point. Why I mentioned, why I made the comments.
I think.
Why I made the
Unless
comments.
you are going to
because
bring
you are
towards
showing the
us
half
a
empty,
message
half
from the
filled has to be
government
shown.
and
What this government has done
condemnation
for the
from the
Kashmir
government to what is happened
has
to
be
these
also-
Kashmiris. I don't know what you can say to make it better.
I'm giving one by one. If I'm wrong, I really... That's what I'm telling.
Do you have a
Please
message
give me
of
5
condemnation?
seconds. Second, all of them are telling that they should be booked under...
Mr. Bhaskar Ghosh, do you have a message of condemnation from the government or from the BJP? Has the BJP condemned these attacks?
No, not at all.
Why not?
Of course, we condemn the attack in all possible way. All possible way. We don't support even I mean, we cannot think of supporting this. When Raj Thackeray
the attack
says
in
that the
Yavatmal
Biharis should be out
was
of
carried
Maharashtra, we
out
didn't
by
support
members
it.
of the Shiv Sena, your ally. The attack today in Lucknow was carried out by members of the Vishwa Hindu Dal. Will you insist that these organizations remove these people from their parties?
It is Vishwa Hindu Dal. I don't know who is Vishwa Hindu Dal.
Okay, so now you're denouncing
I don't know
them.
who is Vishwa Hindu Dal. They are not a part of our BJP. We know Vishwa Hindu Parishad. We don't know what is Vishwa Hindu Dal. Anyone having a saffron color, you can't attach them with the BJP. And we have booked them under serious charges of 147, 323, 294, 504, 506 and 323. Most of them is non-bailable offence.
Well, we understand, and this is for Mr. Sundaram's benefit, that they've been booked under Section 147 for rioting, 323 for voluntarily causing hurt, 504 for intentional insult and intent to provoke and breach of peace. These are the sections that have been applied in this case, Mr. Sundaram. No, this has come from the FIR directly from our reporter.
I think all these sections, all these sections, I'm sorry, you asked me something, Faye. All these sections are sections by which they can get bail immediately. I am saying do something serious. There's a gentleman who spoke to you on the telephone just now, Faye, and he had a very good idea. Book them under the Gundas Act. Book them under the Gundas Act, because that is the way they have behaved. Why don't you book them under the Gundas Act? Then there's no question of bail right now. Why don't you do that? Book all these people under the Gundas Act. Book them for anti-national activities. Book them on charges for which they cannot get bail. All these sections you said are all sections on which they'll get bail within 2 days. Please just check it tomorrow, find out. Because whether the policeman gives them bail or not, any court for causing simple hurt, no, I'm sorry, sir, but if you cause simple hurt, or if you've rioted or affray, and these are kind of things which every court will give you bail. We've got to take that not in the normal context of causing a hurt. We've got to take it in the context of the specialized sphere in which we're dealing with now. You see, if you take those just as sections in themselves, those are all sections which in the daily walk of life are things on which any court will grant bail, because otherwise you'll have so many people in jails. But we're dealing with a completely different situation where those same crimes are being committed. Those crimes take a different perspective. They take a different perspective in the nature in which they're being committed, for the reason they're being committed.
Yes.
So don't just take it at the periphery and say this is the crime committed.
Even do you think,
Go
Mr.
into
Sundram,
why it's being
One
committed
second,
and
I just want to give Ejaz Ayub
Put
an
them in for
opportunity to
Gundas
speak as well.
Act. Go against them
Yes.
for anti-national activities.
Gunda, you have to use or invoke the Gunda Act. Go ahead.
We have talked a lot about how to deal with the people who created this mess. But in the process, we should also think about the students, thousands of students who have left their studies in the middle. There needs to be an assurance from the government or some communication from the university side that they should feel secure. They should return to the university. Thousands of students, their careers are at stake, which needs to be taken care of. And people who have left jobs, there needs to be some immediate assurance from the government, from the universities, so that these people can come and
So the
continue with their
interesting thing
studies.
that we have to point out here is when you approached the police, that someone was being threatened or someone felt unsafe or removed from their job, the police gave you protection to the nearest bus stop.
I'll give you a small
or to
example.
the nearest train station, but didn't say, no, you go back to college, we'll give you protection, make sure nothing happens
Absolutely. I'll give you a simple example. University on the highway of Jaipur, almost 11 girls were stranded inside and a huge mob was waiting on the highway. They blocked the highway entirely. They were crying, they were in distress, and they had to flee in the dark of the night so that nobody can see them. Police did help them. They accompanied the bus to the airport and they have reached home. But the situation was very tense that time. The entire nation was in anger because of the Pulwama thing. And even police was feeling a little bit of helpless in such situations where an entire mob has taken the hostage an entire highway. So you had such kind of scenarios in different situations.
Well, we have completely run out of time, but I do promise our panelists, as Mr. Sundaram said, that we should be tracking these cases very closely. We will track these cases very, very closely to bring you updates of everything that has happened. Messages to goons. If you're really that angry and you really want to show how macho you are, join the army. Sign up and let's see you do some real work. Join the CRPF. Join the border security force and actually amount to something instead of being a street corner bully, which is what you really are. To the government of India, you have to do more. You have to put out public service announcements. You have to come out and make impassioned speeches about how we're a united country, and being united actually means being united with every single Kashmiri citizen, because Kashmiri citizens are citizens just like you and me. On Mirror Now, we make a very, very clear stand, as we did the last time. When you beat up a Kashmiri, you beat us up. When you hit a Kashmiri, you hit us. When you threaten a Kashmiri, you threaten us. There is no difference. We're all citizens of this country and we will all stand together. You go out and threaten and beat up a minority, you are the separatist. There's no room for separatists. We will stand together and we will stand with our Kashmiri brothers and sisters, and we will not allow you to do this anymore. Mirror Now stands with the Kashmiris across the country. Thanks for watching.